So today we are going to talk about Microsoft Lists. The agenda which I have for today is to start off with a brief welcome and intro. I will talk a little bit about myself, the Lists team, and list product in general. We'll talk about some of the core capabilities in lists and how you can use lists today. Some of the features that we recently released or are there in the roadmap that can help you in your day-to-day work. Then I have some time scheduled for some live use cases that we can talk about or even, co-create together. I would love for some of you to also try and, share, use cases that you have used lists for. And we'll try to make that as interactive as possible. And then we'll field questions in the end. I may not have all the answers to your questions, but I'll try my best to answer them or at least convey it to the right teams and sort of get back to you folks with the right answers. List is basically a product that helps you track and manage information and processes in a very simple, smart, and flexible way. When I mean simple, it is that yes, there are a lot of capabilities of Microsoft Lists that pro code developers or admins, IT admins can deploy as end-to-end solutions. But with a lot of effort that our team has been doing, a lot of it is also out of the box now, where end users who are not as very tech savvy or who are just getting started with Microsoft Lists can also get easily start creating, sharing, and tracking information. We are also now a lot of capabilities we have released to make lists smarter, more you can with respect to rules, quick steps, approvals, notifications, integrations with Power Automate, etc. And obviously you can use your lists in a grid view. You can transform the views that you have for your information. You can even use JSON for for views that are not out of the box, or fields if you want to customize fields that are not out of the box, right? So a lot of flexibility is also provided. Integrations with Power Platform, Power BI's, Power App Forms, etc. So that you can create processes end to end and track information end to end, right? How lists has evolved is primarily earlier it was maybe used more as a database where you could just track information. But now with all of these new capabilities that have come up with list forms coming up, we see a lot of use cases where people are creating end-to-end flows with minimum interaction with the grid, etc. Right? So that is really the purpose where we want to democratize workflow automation and processes so that people with all kind of technical expertise can get started, right? So that is basically a bit of context on how we envision lists. I'm sure a lot of you people have been using it for a lot of use cases. For those who are still using it very less frequently, you can use it for many use cases, right? That's the USP of lists, that it is very flexible and you can use it for very vertical scenarios. It could be planning events, tracking assets, weekly tasks, getting approvals for various things like expenses, travel, etc., or even employee onboarding. And with the advent of the mobile apps that we released a few years back, you can even use lists on the go, quickly scan and capture information, update information, or just go through information, read information on the go. So those are some things that you can automatically start using lists for. And the good thing is it's not just on the web or on mobile. You can also use it on Teams, where you can add the lists app on any Teams channel and start continuing using lists from there itself, right? One of the things that we really wanted to do, and many of you would have seen, is we want to simplify the creation process for you, right? And we want to bring out a lot of improvements or a lot of capabilities that List offers upfront to you so that they are discoverable to you and you can get started quickly. So very recently, we released the new Create experience within the Lists app, where you can get started with some of the blank views per se. It could be a blank list or a grid. It could be a form It could be gallery, calendar, or a board or Kanban view to get started with, right? In addition, you already see the existing import options as well, where you can import from Excel, CSV, or even existing lists. Soon you will also be able to leverage forms, etc., which you have created. While you're creating a new list from an existing list, you will also be able to import those the forms, etc., as well to your new list also. Additionally, there are templates. We have a whole bunch of templates, and some of these templates are getting added with other capabilities like approvals flows and all of that. And we are also looking to make these templates. So some of our teams are also looking to make these templates even more relevant, update them so that they can, be sort of most relevant to you folks, right? So there and sort of also plan some new template types that could be used for your organizations. Um, Again, you can also have admins make templates that you have created as default for your organization that can help multiple people as well. So there are these multiple types of create opportunities that you have. And again, as I mentioned, because lists is across endpoints like SharePoint sites, the list home inside the app, Teams, you can start getting creating lists from across these endpoints, whichever you have been using with convenience. So this is the new creation experience. And additionally, I think over the last few months, we have also been rolling out a much faster experience as well for lists with a better grid view experience and some UI modifications that have been done. Uh, I would love for to know more about from you people on how do you feel with this new experience being rolled out recently. Are there any specific feedback that you folks have, or has this been, a great boost to your productivity as well? So with this, we have sort of enhanced the view creation, filtering experiences, the grid, the list grid, etc. Right. So there have been these improvements as well as your ability to see live collaborators or co-presence on the lists as well. One thing I think, as John mentioned, right, that he loves the co-presence features, but sometimes for lists which have a lot of people who are using it, might be really heavy lists. We received a lot of feedback that, is there some way to hide? And very recently, we have released this PowerShell command, which your admins can run to hide co-presence as well. So in case you want more, you want your team to have a sense of more privacy, and hide, this whole large chunk of people who might be co-collaborating on the list, you can now do so with the help of a new PowerShell command that we have released. It must have gone as an MC post to, your teams or your organizations as well. So yeah, that is, and we've also really tried to improve the performance, etc. as well. And our team is heavily invested to keep improving this experience. So over the next few months, you will also see more improvements coming into your list grid view. The grid is such a easy way. We have been used to using data, manipulating data, and we want to make this experience even better for you. In addition to some of the experiences like view creation, navigating between views, filtering your list, etc. Right. So those are some of the ways we are trying to keep improving this edit experience for you folks. If there are any feedback, particularly to the new experience that you would want to share, I would love to, hear more from you.
I've asked this in the chat, but I'm going to chip in anyway.
Yeah.
So I do quite a bit with JSON, and I was just wondering, that capacity column there, is that JSON created, or is that something out of the box in lists?
Yes, that is a JSON-based column formatting that we have done here.
Cool.
Yeah. Perfect. So I'll move forward. I think most of you must be aware we have different view types today that you can use lists for. Your grid, which is the traditional way that you see the data in terms of rows and columns, but in addition, there's also gallery, calendar, and board views. A lot of teams have now started using calendar and board view specifically. Calendar is very easy to track lists with a lot of date type information. And a board view has been used with a lot of power in terms of view formatting as well to track progress, projects, etc. Right. So a lot of these view have been started out of the box, and teams are sort of focusing on these view-based creation. And that is where you must have seen, right, in the new create experience, we have up-leveled these views for you to quickly get started. So when you click on in the create flow, when you click on a board view, you automatically get a board view created with some default options so that you can get started as soon as possible, right? I would still love to learn more feedback from you folks if you've tried out the new create experience where you created new forms, calendars, galleries, or boards directly. And if you have any feedback, if you like the capability, etc. as well, I would love to know more about that. So yeah, as John mentioned, right, we also provide a lot of capabilities for custom formatting, which are not which are either out of the box or they are JSON based. I know many of you are ProList users, and you must have definitely used a lot of JSON based customization as well. You can customize columns, as you might see, right? You can make columns as sliders, you can make them as progress bars, etc. um, and many more, right? And you can also customize your item forms if you want to create sections, if you want to create multi-column layouts, etc. If you want specific types of headers, footers, as well. You can even use JSON-based, code to actually create new types of views that you might not have been using in terms of, say, Gantt view or a bar graph view, etc. I don't know if some of you have tried it or not, but that is something definitely I will share these links with you in case you've not, if you want to refer some resources to get started, etc. as well. And there are also, other SharePoint framework-based customization or advanced customization in terms of your command bar, other sort of, field customizers, etc. as well. I would definitely love to know how many of you are actually using some of these advanced JSON-based formatting capabilities, and, for what function do you use? If you would want to unmute and share, I would be happy to know. Else, we can even do it on chat, and I'll just go through them later on. So if any of you have actually used a lot of JSON-based customization, would be, happy to hear from you folks. So yeah, moving forward, as I said, yeah, there are a lot of third-party developer ecosystem as well. You can use, there are a lot of active communities who use SharePoint frameworks to format their views, format their columns even further, right? So I'm not sure if some of you have been using this or not, but if you have, I would love to know your feedback. And how critical is this for your business as well? Do you think that simple JSON-based column formatting or view formatting would suffice, or do you feel these advanced developer ecosystems are needed for your work, right? So yeah, I would love to know more about that as well. Perfect. I think this is self-evident. I think most of you would have used, but you can manipulate data as well. On list, add, sort, filter, group, share, delete. I think all of these are very basic CRUD operations that you are already doing on list today. Collaboration is key. We really sort of, when I sort of released this particular capability some time back, and this was something that was much loved by our customers and audience, because this now gives you an opportunity to collaborate real time on items, tag people, get them notified, etc. as well. A lot of, and as I said, right, previously, that lists has traditionally been used as a, a database or a place where you have a lot of data, but we really want to now to help you, create workflows and automate your work processes on it. So that is where we are also releasing a lot of new capability in the automation section of lists, where you can create rules with more capabilities, and we'll see all of that in our demo as well as this, create a quick step, quick actions for your items as well, right? So you might be able to see a glimpse of it on the screen. But the intention is whenever there are certain triggers that take place, you are able to take certain actions, inform people across email, across Teams, and sort of get that workflow, going. So we will talk more about this as well in the demo, but just to give you a primer here. We are also working to improve how your list links render on Teams. With the first version, you will still be able to see link unfolding in a specific way, as you see on the screen as a chiclet. So your lists, your items, and your forms will render in a certain way as chiclets, and you can take quick actions on this as well. We are also exploring what are even more advanced ways of rendering list links or list item and form links inside Teams and Outlook as well, right? So that is something that our team is actively investigating. But in the first release, we have already, we are already releasing rendering your links in a much improved way, right? Yeah, I think George, you mentioned a very important point that we are also, in our planning where your default item forms and edit forms could use an experience update, and with the new list forms that we have released, could that become a default? So we'll talk about that as well. It's a very valid point that you mentioned, and we'll talk about that when we come to the form section. Perfect. I think a lot of you are also aware of autofill capabilities for document libraries. Again, document libraries are sort of sisters to lists. So because they are built on a similar tech stack and operate in a very similar fashion. And autofill is something that released to lists, to document libraries. And we are also sort of exploring, how that capability could be brought to lists as well. I'm not sure if some of you have already tried out autofill capabilities on document libraries. If you have, I would love to sort of hear more from you on what use cases. So I'll just pause a moment and sort of try to understand, if any of you have used autofill capabilities in libraries, and what are your thoughts on bringing such capabilities to lists as well? Yeah. But as I said, right, autofill is available today on document libraries. I would definitely love to know from you folks if you folks feel there is value of bringing this to lists as well. And if so, then what use cases do you see autofill sort of providing for Microsoft Lists? So if I would, just want folks to just unmute and, share how do you feel of bringing up autofill capabilities to Microsoft Lists? Yes, I think, yeah, we are also seeing what are scenarios. I think one key benefit could be if we could reference columns, say, if certain data is present on a column, or certain data changes in a column, or certain information is there, there could be a certain prompt given to, the autofill, or it could take an action there. So I think we are exploring, on all fronts on how this could be more valuable for lists as well. But yeah. So coming on to a glimpse, I think a lot of improvements came in our roadmap in terms of the list forms capabilities, which we'll cover next. A lot of settings that were introduced, new creation experiences as well, notifying yourself on form responses. There was also an experience improvement where you could reorder items using drag drop. Approvals were released on both lists and libraries. Right, and the ongoing new experience for the list grid as well, right? So those are some things that have already released, and some of the things that are also released are the conditional branching, support for additional column types in forms as well, forms being packaged in existing templates. We want, for example, in issue tracker template, we are working to see, how we can give you a predefined form that you could just get started and collect issues, or, collect expenses, asset requests, etc. There are new template improvements, as I mentioned, that are coming in, as well as, how links are unfolding in Teams. Some of the other top of mind, as I mentioned, are improving the view tabs, which some of you also mentioned. Right, improving the grid editing and filtering experiences, setting to disable real-time collaborators are there, And then also some of the things we are also exploring again. It's not really on our roadmap or planned, or there is an ETA yet, but we are exploring. A lot of feedback has come on external sharing for firms. What is the path forward for SPFX field customizers, or autofill columns for lists, as I just discussed, right? So some of these are in discussion within our teams. And this is just a snapshot. There are more improvements that are happening and releasing, but just to give you an overview, right? Coming to some of the segment of list forms that we had thought. Again, the intention of list forms was, since lists, the essence of lists, a list is as good as the data inside it, right? And to improve data collection, improve lists getting added to data, we realized that the grid is just one way where you add data through your default item forms, or directly via your grid. But a lot of information requires a lot of stakeholders, collaborators, and that is where forms got introduced, to sort of decentralize your information, adding information collection on your lists, right? And with that, you can share this form with anyone in your organization, and collect responses that flow back to your list. No additional permissions given, no, they do not get to access the underlying list. So it also acts as a barrier in terms of, permission as well. Just to give you a quick glimpse, right? The list forms is, as I mentioned, to easily collect and manage information, plus also create workflows, that you can sort of have end to end. So, for example, if you want to collect orders, collect issues, etc., and then view them, collaborate with people on them, and then automate in terms of either say get approvals, get reminders, get sign-offs, etc. An end-to-end flow can be created, of which list forms becomes a very vital part, because you are now being able to administrate your list better by collecting information from more people, but having all the control and visibility to your list yourself. Key attributes are, it is fairly easy to set up. So we really wanted to make this a very end user facing capability. Anyone and everyone who has just opened lists will also be able to understand and create a form there. It is completely natively built inside lists, so it comes with all of the benefits of being in the SharePoint environment. It has all the rich column support. I think barring the manage metadata column and ratings column, all of the other column types are also supported today on your forms. And you can act on these responses as any other item, right? Yeah. Having said that, a lot of use cases that I have personally, felt forms can be used for, and I think you folks also mentioned some of these. It could start with very basic scenarios like feedback or surveys, but it could ideally, we want to track more complex end-to-end processes like say event registrations, approval processes. A lot of with the power of approvals integrated into lists, right? A lot of things like asset approvals, travel requests, expense approvals, etc., can be very quickly and streamlined way created on your lists. Tracking incidents or issues, tracking job applications or employee onboarding, right? Tracking milestones. A lot of the administration in the organization track a lot of milestones for employees, employee well-being, etc. Conducting assessments or assignments, collecting them. With the attachment column now available, a lot of file types based scenarios can now be supported on lists as well. And right, along with that, requesting other things like access and collecting testimonials, videos, and all of that as well, right?
I already mentioned this, but we're using the forms part of lists for employee feedback. And like I said earlier, it's great because we can assign it to people. Then they can add status updates. And then when it's completed, I've created a BI, so then it moves over to an archived list. So then we don't even see it anymore. So we love it.
Got it.
We work with a client who, it's really interesting actually. They currently collect data externally using an anonymous form, and they put that in a SharePoint list. And we were really wanting to say to them, it would be lovely to just have the list, have it permissioned, have it and that external collection of data. But the only other feature they were missing at the time was the branching, which you've just shown is here now, which is a fabulous addition. So yeah, I think we're really close to, for us, that being the full package for clients that we work with.
Perfect. So I'll share some of the experiences I have heard from my side, right? So one, the customers I've spoken to, right? So there was this large, one of the largest banking firms that are using our forms heavily, are using it for, a lot of very varied use cases. So new employee onboarding. And one thing that I've seen, is that they are not just limiting themselves to collecting the information, but they have done a lot of good processes, integrations with Power Automate to actually complete end-to-end workflows, reducing their time, effort, and their necessity to come back to the list and do more operations, right? So one of the sort of use case was when a new employee is getting onboarded to the company, the manager just fills out a form with their basic details, and then flows get triggered to send them relevant notifications, onboarding plans, documents, and all of those things along with that. So manager does not have to take care of any of the onboarding things. They can just simply, automate the entire process. Requests for creating new security groups or, groups within Microsoft was also one of the within their tenants was also one of the use cases, these folks. So if people want to set up groups, they can just request them through this form. Feedback in terms of IT help, in terms of SharePoint admins, whether some processes or sites were helpful or not. So employees fill their feedback through these forms. So some of these were just broad ways people have been using, but on the other hand, we have seen a lot of customers in the medical field or in terms of the services field who have been using these forms to collect appointments, who have been using these forms to repetitively fill similar kind of information that in terms of, say, a receptionist working to fill in, say, appointments or new requests coming in, travel event managers collecting RSVPs, etc. Right? So we have heard a lot of these, and now with the more capabilities like the branching, etc., these forms can be made much more dynamic and all of that, right? So I will now just quickly go and walk you through some of these forms, because a lot of these you folks have worked on forms. I'll maybe spend more time on the forms front. So just let me share my screen. As I mentioned, you come to forms today. You have a form that you've created. You can now start adding logos as well. You have new field types that you can now start using, image, location, attachments, etc. There is this branching mode as well. So in case you come to the form, you can see a branching mode. It is fairly similar in the entire experience to other form products that you might have been using. Very intuitive. So in case, for example, if a person is selecting, say, I'm not attending the offsite, so will you be joining for us for the offsite? No. Then we just ask them to please share your reason for not attending, right? And then you can sort of end of form. So you don't need to ask them any other details as well. But they say if they are going to stay overnight, then you can ask them for, they can simply come to the, you can ask them their details. And how will you be, coming to the offsite, train or flight? If they're coming by train, you can ask them which train they will be taking. If they're coming by flight, you can ask them what is a preferred flight type, etc. And then you can just come to the final question of what is your food preference. So this now quickly in a few clicks, you've created a dynamic form which will behave in terms of what kind of inputs you are providing as a responder, right? So this is the new capability in terms of branching. In terms of setting as well, you have a notify me now. You can subscribe to be notified when new responses are coming in for the form. You can also choose your start and end date as well, in terms of, when do you want the form to be live and when do you want the form to be closed as well, right? So you can choose either or also, or you can choose both. You can also have your custom messages, in terms of when the form is submitted or when the form is closed, which is outside this window, right? So these are some new settings. We are also working on another settings which allows you to limit um, only one response per person, or you can collect multiple responses as well. So you will soon be seeing that capability light up as well, where you can, just one person, one response, right? And also, we are also working on another capability which allows you to keep these responses anonymous, even for people within the organization. Now I know that, this is something that might be maybe preferred by most, but some tenants might not want. So for that, we will also see if there are any additional admin capabilities that can, govern that capability better. But yeah, these are some more settings that we want, for form owners to liver. And as I said, right, so today you can share it within your organization. But we do have received a lot of feedback, and we are investigating on how we can enable it for external folks as well. Again, no ETA on that yet, but that is something that we are actively considering also, right? So this was a basic in terms of, the form capabilities. I also wanted to share that, some of the other automation related capabilities. You can already, create flows for your organization, but say in terms of rules, when you go to create a rule, you also will see a new rule, which is a date approaches rule that is there. So whenever an item is modified, created, deleted, or a date is approaching. So for example, if you come here, since there is not a date column here, it will not be, but say 2 days before a particular date, send an email or a reminder to someone. So if you're tracking a work item and that, a completion date is nearby, you can use this as well. In terms of, even when now more capability has been added where, you can even send, say, when an item is modified to something, change this, and, so for example, if an item is modified and you put an if condition, say, food preferences is not veg, then send an email, for say some to your caterer for something specific to happen or something, right? So a lot of these capabilities as well, right? And there are also these capabilities in terms of quick steps. I'm not sure if most of you have tried this, but you can also trigger certain actions for specific items as well, right? So if you, and it's like a quick button on your item form. If you want to quickly start a Teams chat, say when, for example, show a command for each item that starts a team chat with, this thing. So if there is an, say again, similar to an issue tracker, if there are issues assigned to your developers and something has been marked critical, you can simply trigger a Teams chat with them. Right, or you can simply draft an email with them with a specific subject and include the item link in their body for them to, focus or have a look at it immediately as well, right? So there are other such capabilities on the automation front that have been coming in, and obviously approval is something that many of you might have tried, when you can apply approvals and get a end-to-end process on the flow, right? So this was something I had also created one list where, say in this, I had created a travel request list. So if you look at the form here, I had created a travel request form as, say, an admin in my organization. I want to create this for my employees, and I had created all of these. And from this, I could now also add an approval field here, which says not submitted. I can click on it as the list owner, and I can, ask them to ask the particular entry for approval as well. So, for example, if an employee has requested for a travel allowance, I can simply add their managers, and it could be multiple recipients as well. It could come in an order, or it could go to them all directly as well with some custom message. And once the approval is done, you can set up a notification as well. right? So in this, like just a small lightweight end-to-end scenario of having a travel request app on your lists, right? So this was some of the improvements on the forms front and on the grid that we are working on. Thank you so much. And yeah, a lot of new stuff also in the works, which I probably cannot disclose right now, but maybe in a month or so, you will also all get to know that. So a lot of improvements in line, and really excited to sort of share this with all of you. So thank you so much, John. Yeah.
Thank you. You're always very welcome back, and we hope to see you again very soon. Take care, everyone, and take care, Sahil, and take care to your team as well.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.